Welcome back, cabrones, you crazy fuckers. Much love to everybody. I'm your boy Mellow Man Ace. Welcome back to the Havana Lounge podcast. I'm sitting here with a special homeboy of mine, and I'm going to get to that in a second. As long as he gives me time to shout out my sponsors, AV Chevy, Antelope Valley. When you need to fly, Corvette, Chevy, Chevelle. Do they still make the Chevelle? No, right?
I don't know, man. I'm not a car guy.
Okay, and then Silverado or anything like that, go down and see my man Justin at AV Chevy and get your car. Shout out to my peoples at Cilantro Lime, downtown LA. When you want that Mellow Man Ace infused torta, go see them. It's got everything except alligator meat in that thing. It's crazy, delicious. It's got my name on it. I stamp it, baby. And I also want to thank Sterling Images, one of my newest sponsors, to come on board. When you need your wedding pictures and birthday pictures and things of that nature, go see Sterling Images. Now, order at hand.
Wait,
the man of the hour.
Sorry, hold on.
Hey,
sorry,
yo.
man. My order is the Mellow Man Ace infused torta. What's in that?
Like I said, everything except alligator meat, man. I mean, it's got
No shit.
It even got a hot dog link in there. It's got carne de res. It has ham. It has a steak. I mean, it's just crazy the way they
So
hook
it's
it
like
up.
a medianoche with, but more.
Right, because it has a small Cuban blend in there
Okay.
to represent me.
Cool,
but
man.
welcome, everybody,
Yeah,
to
my
the
bad.
show. My man, my ace, Wil Dog of OZOMATLI is in the place to be right now. Thank you for doing this,
Thank
my
you.
brother. Thank you for coming out.
Thank you for having me.
And
Thank you.
being our first show back. I've been a little hiatus myself, doing shows and whatnot, getting around town and showing people the new Mellow Man Ace. But the man is here, people, and we're gonna get this thing cracking. Will, how are you, my brother?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so excited to be here. Honestly, man, when you asked me to do this, I was me, moi,
Yeah,
like really. Oh, I mean, it's just an honor to be here, and this studio is incredible, man. I mean,
Yeah.
Shout out to this place.
Shout out Solomon.
Yeah, congratulations.
Solomon, you want to let them see what you look like back there, or are you gonna hide all day?
Here I am. Hello, everyone.
That's the man.
Shout out
The
Solomon
myth.
at the podcast place, guys. When you need your fly podcast, come see my man. All right,
Thank you.
you good? Flying off your vacation, everything? Or what do we do over the weekend?
I typically don't take vacations. I'm usually here. you
Okay.
know, so I'm usually here doing podcasts. That's
Yeah.
what I do. Or I'm tinkering with the studio, making something better, adding something in, whatever.
Good deal.
Yeah.
That's right, man. The man
Yeah.
said, "I will rest when I die."
Yep.
I can salute that. I'm kind of one of those guys too. Will Dog, man, you're here, brother.
Yeah.
You said, yeah, when I called you, normally when I call you or invite you to go play golf, it takes you about a week to get back to me. But on this, you were like on it, like,
yeah.
yes, of
I mean,
course.
this is
Where do I
business,
need to be?
man.
You
This-
know?
Yeah. I mean, golfing is one of those things where you need a whole day, man. That's the
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at, I'm like scratching my head. You hit me up, hey, come out Wednesday at 10 a.m. I'm like, okay, that's 10 to 4.
Yeah, at
least, you know? And so that's the issue, you know, with this is like, this is some other stuff, you know? So yeah, man.
No. This is easy peasy. No heavy lifting,
Yeah.
no numbers to count,
Yeah,
your
no-
yardage.
Yeah. Losing every game, you know, that's me. So I'm a shitty golfer. So
No doubt, my brother. It's all
Yeah.
love, man. So, Will, man, let's get into it, man. I know the backstory.
Yeah.
I want to educate my people tuning in today as to who Wil Dog is of OZOMATLI, how long you been doing it. So let's get right into it, dog. Tell me this. At what age did you decide that music was what you wanted to do?
So tell you a story, man. I was 6 years old. Yeah, my dad took me to go see this band called The Clash. If you don't know of The Clash, they sing like Rock the Casbah. They had hits Should I Steer, Should I Go, but London Calling. And even before I was 6, my dad, he would have albums. He was just a music lover. We, had albums like The Clash, Bruce Springsteen, Gil Scott-Heron, all the P-Funk records, just a mix and music from all over the world too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember being 6 years old and my dad taking me to the Clash concert. I was so excited, but I fell asleep during the openers. And as soon as the Clash came on, I remember, and I woke up as soon as I heard London Calling. I woke up. This is like a story that my dad says. I woke up out of my seat, was excited, but as soon as I saw them play, I literally in my head I was like, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
But I am fucking gonna do that. Like somehow, like this is what I want to do. I'm gonna be up there doing that. And
that's right.
And it was really, and my parents. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, well, did you start playing at 6 years old?
No. Actually, my parents saw that I was interested in music because I would always have the headphones on, but my family wasn't musically inclined at all, or didn't understand any of that shit. So
yeah,
they actually, and we didn't have any money for instruments at the time, so they got me into a magnet school. They found a magnet school. I don't know if you're familiar with the magnet school program in LA, which is like. It was set up in the 80s, blah, blah, blah. But each school has like a thing. Some of them are like social sciences or animal sciences. Well, they got me into a performing arts school. They knew I wanted to be a musician. So
now, how old were you when that happened?
I was in 3rd grade, so I was 8.
8 years old.
So
okay.
I was 8 years old. So but you couldn't. So they got me in when I was in 3rd grade to this magnet school. It's 32nd Street, USC Magnet, right across the street from USC.
Okay.
And so I went there for I was basically there from 3rd to 9th grade. And when I was in 3rd grade, they said, "Oh, well, you can't start playing an instrument till 5th grade."
What the hell?
Yeah. And so I was like,
so what are you supposed to do for 2 years?
I don't know, but. We were already doing like drama in our classroom. We had like little plays and stuff. So I was doing that. And it was just a beautiful school, man. There was like a lot of weird kids that went there. It was like racially diverse. Yeah. I was living in Cudahy at the time.
Yeah, I know Cudahy. We grew up the next city over.
Yeah, exactly. So I was living in Cudahy at that time. And, it was all Latino kids and me,
Yeah.
And so going there was cool because it was just like kids. It was like very racially diverse. Like it was just different, and a lot of support. And then in 5th grade, when they said, "Well, what instrument do you want to play?" I really wanted to play saxophone because of Bruce Springsteen's sax player, Clarence Clemens. I loved him because I used to go see him in concert. We used to go to the old sports arena and see him, and I was like, "Oh, I want to be Clarence Clemens."
Yeah.
But they said that I need to play clarinet first. In order to play saxophone, you can't start on sax. You have to play clarinet. And I was like,
that
fuck
right?
that. Yeah. Why? Who wants to play clarinet? So
yeah.
So I said, no, I'm not going to do that. So they said, well, you're big, so you can play trombone. So I started playing trombone.
Yeah.
And I played trombone basically 5th and 6th grade, and then gave it up. I was in like the orchestra, and then I got into dancing actually. And my whole junior high, I was dancing. I was like, I was doing modern. I was doing ballet. I was doing ethnic dancing.
Tap? Any tap?
No, a little bit, but not really. Yeah, but a little bit.
I didn't know this about you, bro.
Yeah, they didn't provide that.
Even I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay. So good. Even you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was dancing really in junior high, and then like in 9th grade, my best friend who was a drummer. Okay. So anyways, let's go back. I'm sorry, but this whole time, my best friend was a drummer. So this kid, Andy, I met in 5th grade, first day of 5th grade. He walks in with a broken arm, and I was like, that kid's going to be my friend. Like, I thought it was so cool that you have a cast. I always wanted a cast. I never broke any bones at that point.
Right.
And he came in, and we became friends, and basically he was a drummer, and his mom used to pick me up and take me to his drum lessons. So I would sit like on the side of him while he was taking drum lessons.
Sure.
So it was like getting in me, and he would show me drum beats. And so I was always kind of like playing drums with him, next to him.
Yeah.
But he was just such a phenomenal musician, man, this kid.
Already.
Oh, he's the best musician I've ever known, ever in my
Till
life.
to this day, he's still
I mean, well,
rocking?
he's no longer with us, but
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So that's,
Wow.
yeah, we'll get to that part.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll get to that part. But basically, yeah, long story short, I started playing with him, and he was like, get a guitar. So I ended up getting a guitar, and I sucked. And when 10th grade came around, I was just dancing. Yeah, I fucking sucked, man. When 10th grade came around, Andy was like, I'm going to go to Hamilton Music Academy. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Down going into the
Robertson.
on Robertson, going
Robertson.
into Culver City.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so they had a music academy. They had just started, but you had to audition to get in.
Okay.
And so I was like, I want to go wherever Andy's going. So I'm following him. You know, this is my
Yeah.
best friend, and he was just the best. He was one of those musicians, man, where he didn't give a fuck about like money and all that shit. You know, he cared about art. Like he was so focused on art, you know, always. Like he was just true to himself, and he was always the same. You know, he never like switched it up. So anyways, man, I went to the audition to get into this school. So Andy had already got in. We knew Andy was getting in because he was great. So I get in.
That good.
He's that good. So I get in. It's David Sears, this Mr. Sears, man. And so I'm at the audition. It's just me and him. And I pull out my guitar.
Yeah.
And
Electric or
electric? And I'm like,
Okay.
ding, 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 ding. I fucking suck. And he's like, I'm sorry, but you're not good enough to be in this school. You know, that's what he says to me. And at that point,
wow.
I had to fucking get into that school. Like, there was no other option for me. Like, how am I going to be a fucking musician? I already know this is what I want to do. And I'm like, I could play drums. So I run to the drum set.
Oh,
and he's
damn.
like, wait. And I run it, and I'm like, and at that point it was the Run DMC Walk This Way, and
Yeah.
I knew that beat. Boom, boom. I knew how to play that, so I
Because,
just went
your
there
boy.
because I was playing drums,
Wow.
and I played that, and he heard, and he's like, okay, well, you have good time. So luckily, Mr. Sears turned out to be the drum ensemble teacher. So he's like, you can be under my drum ensemble.
Get down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so he fucking he brought me in, man, and he said, but you're gonna have to practice. I don't want any bullshit. He was really
Yeah.
stern, you know.
Sure.
So I go to 10th grade, and I'm going, and I'm with all these cats. I'm with Abe Laboriel. I don't know if you know who he is. He plays with Paul McCartney now.
Holy shit.
Manny Marroquin, do you know who he
Okay.
is?
No.
He's the biggest mixing engineer in the world today.
Okay.
He owns Larrabee Studios, Verse Restaurant.
Well, I've recorded there before.
Yeah,
at
so
Larrabee.
on Lancashire, he just
Yeah.
did Kendrick Lamar's record.
Say less. Respect.
Yeah, so
Respect.
I'm with these dudes. Like he's
Yeah.
Manny's a drummer originally.
Uh-huh.
I'm with him. I'm with I don't even know who. There's a bunch of people that are super successful in that class, and
Okay.
so. And I'm playing, and I'm just I'm getting into weed at this time, man. So I end up basically getting kicked out of that school.
Nah.
Yeah.
They caught you smoking in the halls or what? Down in
They did catch me smoking weed
Down by the gym? What did it-
at the bleachers.
at the bleachers.
But
yeah.
but you couldn't get in that school. You couldn't get Fs or unsatisfactory on your report card
At
that was
all.
just- yeah, and that was just impossible for me. I was a horrible student, man.
Sure.
So
Yeah, so was I.
yeah,
So was Sandog. So was all of us.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't never make a grade.
Yeah.
And
I never did homework.
I
Never. I've never done
Yeah.
homework in my life.
No,
Like,
when
except
it
now.
comes-
Now I do.
homework?
I go to school now. But anyways,
You go to school now. Wait,
yeah.
wait a minute.
wait,
a minute.
well, yeah, I'm in school now, man. I'm at well, no, it's summer break, but since the pandemic, man, I went back. I'm at a LACC music, taking all music classes.
Is
man.
that right?
2 music classes a semester. I'm about to be in my 4th. Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you.
about to be in
Yeah.
my 4th semester.
I didn't know this.
Yeah.
No wonder you haven't been
So,
coming out to the golf
Yeah,
course.
man, I've had a lot of homework, man.
Yeah,
So-
that's dope as hell. I might
Yeah.
look into that. Because I recently started playing congas and bongos
No
during the
shit.
pandemic,
Good.
and now I'm on stage doing it. So I've
Yeah,
added
I've
an
seen
extra
you.
layer.
Yeah, you have a good tone, man. I've seen that. I just
Thank
thought you
you.
had that since you were a kid.
No,
Oh,
I've only been playing for 8 months,
yeah. All right. Yeah.
and I jumped into
Sick.
the deep end of the pool. But that's beautiful, man.
Nice.
To see kids go back to school. It's never too late.
You should come out and play bata. Where I take lessons playing bata.
Man, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
Let me know where I
So,
need
yeah.
to go. I'll bring my
Yeah,
rig.
I will.
I'll bring my rig out.
Yep. So, anyways, man. Yeah.
So now you get busted.
So
you
I
in
get.
trouble.
So I basically can't come back to that school. And
Oh man.
and Andy, I don't know what happened with Andy, but me, Andy, and this kid Darius, another friend of ours, we all end up.
Not Darius Rucker.
Darius Moggin.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
we end up all going to Fairfax.
Okay, down in the Hollywood area,
Yep.
going into
So
Hollywood.
they got into
Melrose.
Fairfax. Yep.
right? Okay.
So they were like, Andy's like, I want to go to Fairfax. So I just follow him. Like, okay, I go to Fairfax.
Yeah.
So I end up going to Fairfax for like less than half a semester. And I end up at Walt Whitman, which is a continuation for Fairfax.
Okay, you didn't make the grade. You was fucking off.
Fucking off. So then I'm now in continuation school and doing that shit. And, and that's like, you work at your own pace. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
And we're outside fucking playing dominoes every day. We're
It's
not
all right.
working. Nobody's working,
right,
It's
right.
like all these kids from all over the city, different. It was a trip, man. That continuation was a trip because it was like, you had like rival gangs in that same school.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and it's like just two.
No, come on, man. I mean,
bungalows.
back in those days
Yeah.
too, any continuation school or summer school, like I got bused to Jordan High School.
Oh, you went to Jordan.
No, I went to Southgate, but I
Oh,
got
okay.
bused because I was fucking off and
Oh,
doing
yeah.
the thing. I got bused to Jordan. So
Damn.
they would always send you to a shittier fucking school. You know what I
Right,
mean? You
right.
can't.
Sorry,
don't go,
Jordan.
You
but
don't go
South-
from
but
Southgate to Beverly Hills.
Yeah,
Nigga, you know what I mean?
Not to hate on Jordan, man.
Yeah,
you
not
know?
to hate on
Yeah,
Jordan,
come on.
but golly, boy, once you
Yeah.
got off the bus there, it just seemed
Yeah.
like a movie from John
Dude,
Singleton. about to
Jordan,
start.
Fremont, like what other? Those are the schools you didn't want.
Crenshaw.
Like, Crenshaw was better than fucking Jordan.
Yeah,
and
it was,
Fremont.
but it was deeper in the hood.
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
Manual Arts,
Manual arts. You,
know,
didn't want to
yeah.
go there, man. You didn't
with
want
Jefferson,
Jefferson. My goodness.
L.A. High.
LA High, I would have took LA High.
LA High is way better because more diverse.
Yeah, I would've
just
took LA High.
for sure.
So now you're at what was it called?
We're at Walt Whitman, which
Walt
is continuation.
Whitman, yes.
So I have a car. I'm living in my car at this point. Fuck, man. So I'm at. Well,
that's the story for a lot of musicians.
Yeah.
I was living in my car.
Yeah.
The man's got Grammys. Don't get it fucked up. We're about to get to that. Don't get it fucked up. The man's got a Grammy, but don't.
There's Grammy winners living in their car right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't mean that I don't live in my car today, but I don't. But,
yeah. But no, I'm just letting them know. Like this story gets better. People hold
Yeah.
tight. Like
don't. I hope they're not.
It
bored.
doesn't end here at sleeping in the car. Is
No,
what I'm
it
saying.
doesn't. Well, I'm just fucking getting through.
Yeah.
I end up going to a baseball game between Hamilton's continuation and my continuation during the day.
Okay.
And the principal sees me there. And this is like, so I'm ditching my continuation.
Oh, damn.
And I'm watching my continuation play baseball against.
And then your teacher recognized you.
The principal.
Oh, shit.
The principal and came to all of us. She's like, you are expelled from Walt Whitman continuation. So then from there, I go to Metro Skills Center
Never heard of it.
downtown. It's like the last stop.
That's it
And I
before you
show-
go to prison.
Yeah, and I go for 2 days, and I go for like 2 days, man.
Yeah.
I was at that point, I'm done. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So I basically quit school completely and staying on my car, sleeping on people's couches. I'm developing a drug habit at this time as well.
I love the candidness in that. I love the
I
honesty.
mean, it
in
is what it is, man. I was fucking.
that.
I was 17 years old.
Yeah.
It is
Trying to figure shit out.
trying to figure shit out.
Before you either go to jail
Yeah.
or the army.
My
right?
mom and my stepdad. So even in middle school, my mom I grew up in basically, which is like a political left, really a communist organization.
Damn.
My parents were communists, revolutionary communists, and I grew up in that
Holy
organization.
shit.
Was kind of cultish in a way, where you were like, you're, how do I say it? You're basically, there's so many rules to be in this because they always think that the government is after them.
Sure.
And so you never want it. So I had like a name in the neighborhood. I was known as one name, and at school I was known as another. You know what I mean? That's why I went to magnet school, so I could get bussed out of my neighborhood wherever I was living, you know, to
Wow.
another neighborhood. And it was weird where I had to like be on, you know, call my friends from payphones and shit. So that, because we were getting tapped, you know?
Holy crap,
Yeah,
man. Now, would you say this is the reason why you never thrived in school? Because you had that angry, fuck the system type of thing?
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, they didn't really care about school much. They cared about school enough that they were like, it was kind of put on me where it's like, you have to do good enough in school so that the system doesn't come after us. That was kind of their shit.
Straight D's,
You know, it was like that. So anyways, man, but
Wow.
my mom ended up
Interesting.
leaving that organization when I
Yeah.
was like 12. So, and that was her whole support system. And my parents had divorced when I was 8. So her whole support system since college was pulled out from under her. So we ended up being homeless, man. We were living in a bus. I was living in a bus, like a bus that was converted into a home, just like you see now, like all these communities all over LA, you see it.
Yeah.
People living, you know, and
In
you'll see a group
campers
of
and
them. You'll see a group of them because they
trailers.
take care of each other. So we were in
Sure.
one of those.
Wow.
Yeah. So we lived basically down Venice Boulevard. So I've lived everywhere from on the beach. That was the best. We were on the parking lot of Rose and the ocean,
Sure.
all the way down where because we had those
Down
bathrooms
in the Venice Beach area?
because they had just built those bathrooms. So we had our community there, and when we would get kicked out of there, we would go down Venice Boulevard. You know, when the cops would come at 2 a.m, boom, dunk, dunk, you always knew like, okay, well, where does your jurisdiction end? You ask him. He's like, if you go past La Brea, you're out, you know? So then we go past La Brea, and then they come, doom, doom, doom. Where do you go?
Right.
Go, you got to pass Hoover. So then we're down Venice, and just, and all the way to
Crazy.
Skid Row and back. And then
That's
we would go back.
crazy.
It would just be like a revolving door.
Wow. Now, how long did that go on for?
That was my junior high school years. So
Yeah.
then basically from 12 to 15.
Now, I'm sorry to interrupt, man, but
Yeah.
your parents or your mother, right? I mean, communist group, you're being watched anyway, right?
I mean,
You would think, like,
man, who knows? Man, I was a kid, so
okay.
you know what I mean? Like, you got to think of it like I have a kid mind, and I'm being told all this shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and some of it is real, and some of it might have been paranoia. You know what I mean? But I'm just living it. It's just real for me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So yeah.
So this goes on for about 2 years, you said?
Yeah, well, no, we were living in a bus for like 3 years, like 3 years. But then
Amazing.
my mom and my stepdad ended up moving. She went to San Francisco with the bus,
Okay.
and so I moved in with my dad and my stepbrother.
Yeah.
And
You stayed back in L.A.
I wasn't gonna leave LA, man. At that point,
Yeah.
like LA was everything to me. Like I thought I was so cool coming up. Like how much pride do you have in LA? Think about it now.
Bro. Yeah.
When you have opportunity to go live somewhere else, why would you?
Yeah.
Fucking LA is the best place in the world.
I've always said, because I was hanging out with Psycho Les of the Beatnuts over the weekend, and I started thinking to myself, he relocated from New York to LA.
Okay.
And I was like, how would it be moving from LA to New York now at my age?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't think that's something that's doable. I don't think it's doable.
I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
I like going there for a couple weeks at max.
Yeah. And then we got,
it's
gotta
fun
be
for like
sunshine.
3 days.
Yeah, because when it starts snowing and all that
fuck
shit,
that.
don't
Winter,
forget about it.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm sorry. Let's get back to that moment where those 3 years you're in a bus. Tell me this.
Yeah.
How difficult was that shit, bro? Like, if you had a fucking crush on a chick.
Oh, you don't know. Okay.
You know what I mean?
That was the worst part.
I can't bring you back to the crib because.
you don't know. Honestly, the worst part is trying to hide that shit from my friends.
Yeah.
There was 2 people that knew, 2 people in my life, Andy and Darius. Those are the only two people that I let know.
Yeah.
And so that was the hardest shit because like when we were in Venice, I was like, oh, I'm in Venice. So I started skating, you know, and I would go out on the boardwalk skating. And then, you know, and luckily enough, Rose is far enough from where the pavilion used to be. You remember like where
the muscle dudes get down?
Like, yeah, well, closer than that. There used to be like a place where all the skaters, you know where the skate bowl is now? Like,
yeah.
Like right around there.
Okay.
So Rose is like a mile away from that. So luckily that's where my bus was. So I would skate. I would like look out the door if people were seeing me, make sure there was no kids around. And then I would get on my skateboard and take me and I had a pit bull and he would drag me all the way to the, you know, and so the part was like hiding that from all those kids. But then all of a sudden, you know, I don't know, I was out there maybe taking a shower or something because our shower was the beach shower.
Yeah.
You know, and so like it got word on the street that I was that kid. I was the kid living in the bus, you know. And so they started, it was fucked up. They used to call me like Dirty Willie and shit, you know. like don't laugh, fucker.
I'm sorry,
Motherfuckers, look at everyone's laughing in the studio.
Sorry,
give me applause for that.
Well,
give me an applause. Give
hey
me
man, give us some love, man. Give us some love.
Okay.
Hey, I'm only laughing because you're a Grammy Award winner now, and I can, you know.
No, but this shit's real, man.
I could laugh now, but I know it didn't last. In other words, that's the only.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you said Dirty Willie.
No, that's pretty funny. Yeah.
You knew it was. Yeah,
it's fun. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I don't care. At this point, I'm separate. Like, it's crazy. I'm learning so much now, being my age and just self-reflecting, and we'll get to all that. But yeah, man. So it was hard, and
any girls that you had to
at that
like
time?
At the time, we were like, damn, I got a crush on her, but
I had girlfriends at school.
Yeah.
But I had a girlfriend that lived in Eagle Rock. I had a girlfriend that lived like in South Central, you know, and I'm over in Venice. Like it's impossible at that age, you know, to like link up. You know what I mean? Because we were all getting bussed. So we we would see each other at school. Yeah. And like talk. And then we used to, so when I was homeless, you used to buy numbers. I don't know if you remember numbers. So on the street, you could, for like $5, you could buy a number, which was basically a stolen calling card number. So my phone was my pay phone. So I had this number.
What year is this?
So I'm 49. So if I'm like 12, so I was 73. So like 80.
Okay.
85.
Yeah. Okay. Calling cards came in. I remember the calling cards. Yes.
Yeah. 85, 86. So. Yeah, so you would buy numbers on the street. That's what we're called, numbers. Like it was like you would buy these fake, they weren't fake. They were like stolen credit card or calling cards.
No, I remember the calling cards.
And so I had this one that, and usually you would pay $5 for it. You never knew when it would run out because it would be like, you know, somebody would say, "Hey, I lost my card," and then they would turn off that number, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you would get one, it would last a week. Sometimes you get one, right? Yeah. But I had this one that lasted like forever. It just kept.
You had the
it was
jump
a gift that kept giving, you know?
Yes, you had the jump.
So I had my payphone right by my bus, and I was out there all night long calling, you know, my friends, girlfriends, and I just acted like I was at home, you know? Like,
on payphones.
Yeah, on payphones.
Yeah.
They were like, "Well, what's your number?" And I would be like, "Oh, I'm not allowed to get phone calls." You know, I would just make shit
up on the fly. Absolutely.
Because I never wanted to tell. But what was cool about Venice, though, is this was like when those parachute pants came out.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
Like
the breakdancer ones?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so in Venice, you could buy the fake ones that looked real for like $5.
Is that right?
So I always had, at that point, I had clean clothes and people were like, "Oh, this dude's fly."
He's one of the freshest.
Because I would buy like these shirts that said California on them and had palm trees. And they were like cheap. And so I always had like new clothes. And then I would always have clean white t-shirts because the people that give shit out to homeless, like you always get socks. You always get toothbrushes, toothpaste. They come around in the van every Tuesday. I would get white t-shirts. So I always have like my clean white t-shirts. So at that point, I went from like Dirty Willie to become a more clean Willie.
Okay.
You know, and people, and you know what I mean? And even being homeless, you know, because I always had fresh socks, and I became friends with the people that were like giving the shit out, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways.
I'm sorry. I gotta get myself together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Okay, so now we clean Willie.
Yeah. So and so I'm getting some attention at school. You know, I'm thinking I'm fresh. You know, I got my little thing. I'm a good dancer. I became like a really good dancer.
Now, did you try b-boying and all that?
Oh yeah, no, but I mean,
Breakdancing
man,
and-
when I was 10, I was going to Radiotron. So I was at MacArthur Park.
Got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I know Carmelo Alvarez since I was 11 years old.
Got you.
Yeah, like I was going to Radiotron. So I was already, and I grew up. My stepbrother, was named his name Jack Frost. So he was one of the dopest graffiti artists in LA.
Oh, word?
And nobody knew because he wasn't like me. He wasn't like outgoing. He's not outgoing. He's not.
Now, was he on the bus with you as well? Or?
No, he didn't go to my school. But my dad married his mom, and he was like
Later
3 years.
on.
So when I was like 9, they got together. But I had already known him because I knew him. He knew me my whole life because he was part of that same organization my dad started,
Understood.
the Revolutionary Communist Party.
Got you.
So I'd already known him, but then he became my stepbrother. And so
Wow.
and so his best friend was Charlie Tuna.
Oh,
So that's how I met Charlie Tuna when I was 12 years old. So I remember the first
Shout
day-
out J5.
Yeah. And so I remember meeting Charlie Tuna for the first time. He was like, we're going to go meet my friend. And we got on a bus, and then I see
It
this,
all makes sense to me now.
yeah, I see this.
I
tall
always
kid.
wondered
Yeah.
why OZOMATLI got Charlie Tuna with him all
Yeah.
the time. But now,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how. And so Charlie Tuna is an amazing artist as well, like visual artist. And he was a graffiti writer named Chicago 1000. And so
Damn.
my stepbrother and him were best friends, and they would go peace. And they would sneak out of the window at like 2 a.m. and take me. And I was like fucking like 11 years old.
Yeah.
So I'd be on the streets, like
What?
we would be like just piecing, and I would be filling in for them,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And they hated taking me, but I would rat them out if they didn't.
Yeah.
you know what I
You
mean?
got to do it. You got to do
Yeah,
it. You got to
so
take little Dirty Willie
They
with
ne-
him.
yeah. So
Come
they
on,
used to
Dirty
take
Willie.
me-
Finna
so
go
they-
fade, Willie.
They took me to Radiotron, you know, and that was kind of like that was my end to that whole,
Get down,
you know,
man.
to that shit, to hip hop and stuff. And so I used to try to break dance and stuff, and I was okay, but I never committed to any of that stuff, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
was-
so now, how do you get back into the music thing?
So
After you get kicked out of Walt
Yeah,
Whitman,
so
what was it?
Walt Whitman. So
Walt Whitman.
So Andy calls me. So I'm like 18 years old, and Andy calls me. He's like, "Man, and Andy's in a band already. He's playing,
Doing his thing.
doing his thing." So he calls me, and he's like, "My fucking bass player just quit," you know. And it's like, I remember it's December 6th, and he has a show, on December 31st at a rehearsal studio right by LACC called
Okay.
Hyatt Studios. It was going to be with there was a band called Section 8. I don't know if you remember this band from LA.
It's cool though.
They did like Latin funk kind of stuff, like a mix.
Okay.
There was a band, Angelo from Fishbone.
I've
know-
never met him, but I've
Okay,
heard
but
a
you know
lot about him.
Fishbone.
Absolutely.
So he had a band called the Traveling Dingleberries. I don't know if you-
I think I remember
He
that
had a
band,
band
though.
called, and so it was us opening for those two bands at the studio. So he's like, "We
Okay.
got a gig," and he's like, "You're gonna fucking play bass." And he was playing with this guitar player who was like 35, who seemed like ancient to us, you know.
Yeah.
And he was really good. And so he's like, "You're gonna play bass." So he basically, Andy's mom bought me a bass amp and a bass, and within 3 weeks I learned how to play bass, man, good enough for this one show.
Nah.
Yeah, and it became
Wow.
because with bass, the great thing about bass though is when you're a drummer, which I already was,
Right.
all you have to do is line up with the kick drum, and
Mm.
you can sound good as long as you ba boom boom, ba boom boom, ba boom boom, because that's what I did.
Got
you
you,
know? And so
got you.
as long as you learn the note,
Okay.
a note, one note,
Yeah,
And
you
if-
can run it.
if you have good rhythm, which I had, so
Wow.
that kind of made me like a good bass player just starting off, because
Yeah.
drums is really hard because you have to practice so much, the rudiments, but to be a bass player, to get by as a bass player takes way less work. You just have to have good rhythm. That's the number one criteria. That you can work a lot less, and that was good for me. So anyway, so I did that fucking gig, and I became that band. And then Andy got heavy into drugs. Sorry, got heavy into drugs. I was doing drugs too. You know, we were smoking crack. You know, whatever, speed.
Been there before.
Yeah. And
anything we could get our hands on.
yeah, pretty much. But it was always weed. Weed was like the staple.
Yes.
That and then whenever we wanted to party,
entrance.
was like get some, do some primos,
Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember the first time I did primo, I was at a party, and this vato, this like cholo dude was like, "Hey man, here." And he hands it to me, and I'm like, "Oh, this is some good weed. What is it?" He's like, "Oh, it's a Primo-lizer, Holmes." I was like, What do you mean? He's like, "Oh, I put some rock in there." And I was like, "Oh," I'm like, "This is the greatest thing ever, man." Anyways, okay. We don't want to fantasize.
Yeah, we're
over
going down memory lane.
Okay.
It's starting to sound good. Let's go get one right now.
No, fuck no. Fuck no.
I'm fucking with you. I'm fucking with you.
I can't even play with that shit.
Yeah, no.
But
For
it's,
sure,
but
for
it
sure.
does sound good.
Yeah.
Anyways, man, so Andy ended up selling the fucking amp, selling my bass, for drugs. He went down and I was sleeping
Your
on
man from way back?
Yeah, man. He ended up like getting deep into drugs. He always wanted to go to the deep end. Like, I don't know what that meant to him. Like maybe like almost dying on drugs. Like he would
ODing.
like he would, when he would do acid or shrooms, he would just do so much, just to like, and I was always like responsible because I would always like just surviving on the street. Like I never did like too many drugs, just like enough. You know what I mean? I didn't.
Yeah.
Because there was still an element where I still need to survive. And Andy was more middle class, and he had like this cushion, So you know what I mean?
Okay.
And so he had where. I think the part of being like really poor, I always knew that I needed to survive the next day. Like, how was I going to get another meal? So like, it was just like a different way of being a drug addict, I guess, maybe. And that's kind of what saved me.
Wow.
Maybe.
No doubt.
So,
that's crazy, dog.
Yeah. So he did that.
So he sells off your shit.
I end up fucking like staying on people's houses that were gracious enough to
Did you want to fuck him up?
Andy? I mean, sure, but like,
But
ultimately it was his. Anyways, his mom bought it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
So like the way I looked at it was,
here today, gone tomorrow.
yeah. And I kind of like left Andy in a way, like I had to like go on. So I went to, and at that point I was like stealing from people. So I would go to like rich kids' parties. The thing about like, you remember like when you were a kid, did you ever go, I don't know if it's maybe just being a white kid and growing up in LA, but like, did you ever know like really rich people?
No.
You never did. You never met like rich people.
No.
Okay, so
Not back in the day at that age, no.
So being white in LA and being poor is like another thing, right? Like, because all the white kids I knew had money, had something.
Like, how did you miss your...
Right? Like being white and like...
The white card and privilege shit.
What the fuck? And my parents, we're over here living in the hood and shit, like, what the fuck, right?
Yeah, they had a name for that too, right?
What is it?
You were like a trailer trash, right?
I mean, we didn't really have trailer trash in LA though.
No, but there's
poor
a word.
White trash, I think you're talking
What
about.
is it?
Poor white trash.
Poor white trash.
Yeah,
Poor white
maybe,
trash,
maybe, but like that's not even a saying here in LA.
It was.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay, not.
Yeah.
Maybe in Southgate. I don't know.
Maybe it's
Southgate was like fancy.
Where'd you grow up
I was in Cudahy.
I grew up in LA.
Where?
What part?
Near like Wilshire District area over there.
Oh, like
Spooner over here.
Like La Brea Tar Pits?
Well, now it's basically
Park
like
La Brea?
mostly Koreatown. No,
oh,
not that
okay,
far
Koreatown.
west.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Belmont High School near.
Oh, you
LA
did?
and all that, yeah.
Oh, so you remember Belmont Tunnels?
Yes.
Yeah, I used to piece there all the time, man, with these cats. Yeah.
Let's go, Charlie Tuna.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so
anyways, being white in LA, like, and being poor, like and going to a magnet school where there's other white people.
Yeah.
Which was really cool for me because race is so important. Like, you're Latino and black, right? Like, but you're kind of right. But you probably were seen. You're the black kid.
Absolutely.
Right?
On the surface, I'm black.
You're the black kid, and what
Yeah.
that means to this fucking fucked up society, right?
Right.
Right. Like, and it's the same. You know, obviously, being white, I have a lot more privilege, but it's the same on the street level.
Yeah.
Being white, right? You're the white kid. You're the surfer. You're the
Right.
fucking.
All the
right?
labels come out.
Right?
Yeah, you're
like,
rich.
You're supposed to be this.
Yeah.
Like you're like, right? So you're supposed to, and that's what's so fucked up about this country, right? Is like it's so racially divided and created to keep power that trickles down into the street level, into like us communicating and us being friends, or
Yes.
us deciding who our
Very
friends
well
are.
said. Very
And
well
us
said.
deciding who our friends are, because it's so hard to just not fit into those categories, man. Because remember, it was like, what radio station do you listen to? It's less like this today, but it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what do you listen to? K-Day? You listen to KLOS? You listen to fucking 92.3?
That's right.
What do you listen? That defines you as a human.
You, absolutely.
Right? Like as a human, it's really fucked up. And it's also racial. So you're not allowed to be, black and into K-rock music. You're not allowed to be white and be in the K-Day music.
I remember when the Mexican dude started growing their hair long and wanted to be rockers.
Rockers. And you're like, what the fuck?
It was like, dude, really? You fucking
like
stoner
are you selling out?
Why you got a Slayer shirt on?
Right? There was that whole shit, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so it's fucked up. And it was fucked up for me, being like the only white kid growing up. You know what I mean? Because I was supposed to be something else, or what I mean? You're not allowed to be diverse.
Oh, and mingling amongst the
saying?
peasants with the blacks and Latinos.
Right, yeah.
I can only think what they thought about you.
Exactly. So when I got...
You're trying to lose your privileges?
Right. But when I got to a school where there was other white kids, it was like, like finally, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like finally, like somebody accepts me in this world.
Yeah, they'll understand me.
They'll accept me.
Yes.
Because up to that point, it was like, every fucking day, motherfuckers want to kick my ass just because I'm white.
Well, don't feel bad about that, because
when
me and Sendog came from Cuba, it was the same shit for us.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's
Black kids hated us because we spoke Spanish and
Right.
had good hair. Mexicans wanted to fight us because we spoke better Spanish than them.
And you were black.
And we're both. We're
Right.
Afro-Cuban,
Yeah.
right? So at that time, people didn't get it.
Right.
Yeah,
no, they didn't, because you had to be like, even my wife, she's Guatemalan. She grew up in Southgate. She grew up saying she was Mexican. Like, think about that. You're not going to say you're fucking Guatemalan in Southgate. People are going to clown your ass.
Oh,
right?
yeah. No, and even worse if you say you're Salvadorian.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. That was the that was the
that was a
taboo in the
no-no.
80s.
Absolutely.
When everybody was coming from El Salvador. Yeah, for sure. Because that was MacArthur Park all day. Anyways, back to the shit. So I would go to like parties. I would go to like mansions. All of a sudden I would find myself in Beverly Hills at a mansion at a party.
Yeah.
At a party. And I was like, oh, they have CDs. I can go take those CDs and get money. So I would be jacking people's CDs. And one kid was a really good friend of mine, man, who like, it's hard, now that like even when I see him today, it's fucked up, because I jacked CDs from his dad, and they were letting me stay at their house. You know what I mean?
Oh, don't invite old Willie to your house. The
He'll
CDs
jack.
just seem to come up missing around this motherfucker.
So, anyways, man, there was people that wanted to fuck me up.
Yeah.
Basically, because people started knowing, oh, this dude's jacking,
and since he lives in a bus, it makes sense.
Well, at
right?
that point, my mom and my stepdad left to San Francisco.
Okay, so now it's just you.
So it's just me, and I'm in my car, and I'm staying at my dad's house sometimes. So I end up calling my mom. I'm like, hey, I gotta leave LA. Like, it's not safe for me here,
Wow.
So she goes. So my mom had started. She had started a hat. She was selling incense, jewelry, and she was making hats in the bus in San Francisco, and she was selling
the Haight-Ashbury area.
No, on Telegraph in Berkeley.
Absolutely.
So she had a stand. She's like, okay, come up here, and you can sell, because I can't make these hats fast enough. They're flying off. And I'll just stay at the bus all day. So I went up there and started selling on the street with my mom, and we started making money, man. And I was making, I don't know, maybe like $1,200 a month, which was a lot. Between between that getting, you know, and I was getting welfare, you know, as well from up there. Cause man, this
setup.
This was the whole game. So the whole game with the welfare shit. I don't know if you ever gotten welfare, man, but it's like, oh,
well, maybe I don't remember.
So,
I have to ask my
so in
parents.
San Francisco, I was getting like food stamps and all this shit. So you go apply for welfare. It's like, oh, I can't get a job. Why can't you get a job? Okay. I can't get a job because I'm an alcoholic. You say that.
Yeah.
So the whole game is you say you're an alcoholic, whether you are or not.
Right. You gotta get this money.
Because if you're not an alcoholic, you should be working. Okay. Right. So I say, no, I can't work because I'm alcoholic. Okay, well, you got to go to AA meetings. So you just have your friends sign with different handwriting because it's anonymous. And so then when they send you to the doctor, the county, they send you to the doctor, I just poured wine all over me. Like I'm like 19 years old. Damn. And I just poured wine all over. I wasn't even drinking alcohol at all.
Notice the game, people.
But just to show them that this is fraud, by the way. Am I fucking?
It is now.
Am I implicating myself?
I don't think they could come back for it. The statute of limitations.
Yeah, I hope so. And so, not only was I making the money on the street, but I was getting like food stamps and welfare, and that was.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
So yeah, the doctor looks at me and he's like, how many fifths a day do you drink? I didn't even know what a fifth was. Like, I don't know, 1. And he's like, more like 5. And he like, right? Because he could smell you.
You reeked and shit. Yeah.
Fucking alcohol. Anyways, yeah, that was the game. And those are the kind of things you learn on the street. You learn how to like work the system.
Absolutely.
In your behavior, which I was always really good at. And so that hustle, that hustle like carried over. So I was on the street selling hats. I started saving money. My parents ended up getting a bigger bus, and I took the small bus. And we were living, right where the new stadium is, where the new Golden State Warriors stadium is. Yeah. I used to live there in a bus, like right there. It was called Pier 30 something. Yeah, it was right next to the Bay Bridge. So I was living there, and then I saved up money. I got a car. I started doing well. I bought a bass. I ended up buying a bass. I started playing like bass line. I started like playing bass for anybody I could. I lived across the street. Then I got an apartment. I sold my bus. I ended up getting an apartment in West Oakland. Across the street from me was a studio that did like Tony and shit like that. Yeah. And I would just go hang out over there. I wasn't good enough.
This is a badass story, dog. Let me stop right here real quick. Guys, you're tuned into the Havana Lounge podcast. My man, Wil-Dog, is bringing down the house. I know I'm fully captivated and tuned in.
Shit, I've been talking this long?
Thank you for hanging out with us. Tony studio now. Okay. Let's get back to it.
Okay. So I'm living in West Oakland with a bunch of, and I'm playing with Mystic Journeyman. Do you remember these rap group? No. I played some bass lines for them. I wasn't like, they would put me up. They would say, okay, play on this R&B song. And I'm like, I didn't even really know how to play. And so they're like, okay, you're not good enough. It's obvious, but they let me hang out.
Yeah.
And they were really gracious. I met this drummer, Ricky, this older dude. And we were playing reggae. I was playing reggae, basically mostly like reggae, hip hop, and some funk up there in Oakland. Okay. And I kind of got into that scene a little bit. Meeting all these kids on the Ave. It was fucking awesome. And within like 2 years of being up there, I had met everybody that I was going to meet. Like there was no more to do up there, you know? And so I said, I'm going to go back to LA and I'm going to fucking make it. And so I'm like 20. I'm 20 and I come back to LA and I get like a job. I don't even remember where. I get I think I was at a Xerox copy place or something. I get a job. I got my bass. I bought a bass, came back to LA. The day after I came, I went to see this Lonnie Marshall. He's a bass player with his band Weapon of Choice. Okay. And I'm in the crowd and this dude asked me if I have papers, like standing in front of me. He's like, hey man, you got papers? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do have papers. So we start talking. He's a drummer, and he turns out to be the drummer for this band called Macy Gray, and they're looking for a bass player. And this is the day after I get to LA, and I end up becoming Macy Gray's bass player. A week later, learning a fucking ton. Like I'm learning all these, and who did Macy Gray's demos at that time was Billy Bass, was the bass player of P-Funk, the original bass player.
Shit.
Billy Bass. So I have to learn all of Billy Bass's parts that he played for
And
Macy
he's
Gray.
slapping and doing
Oh,
all
he's just
type
a
of shit.
nasty player. So I'm
Yeah.
learning all of Billy Bass's parts, note for note, and the guitar player Macy Gray is sitting there with me, like, do it like this, do it like that. Like, this is how he played it, blah, blah, blah. We go note for note. I learn it.
Wow.
Start playing with Macy Gray. This is before this is way before she ever got signed or anything. So we start playing all over. Macy Gray's manager had a hip hop promotion company. I started working for her doing hip hop promotion. I did like, I can't remember, like crisscross hip hop ride. Like I worked that. So I would go to all the hip hop like stores all over LA, from like Inglewood to the Valley, and like put up posters like for hip hop ride, and like put up stickers everywhere, and go talk to I became like a promoter, and so that I was working. And then I started living with Macy Gray's drummer. So he became my roommate, him and his wife, Pam.
Now, at this time, those guys that wanted to fuck you up from before, they had given
Oh,
up.
that was, because
like,
there's a difference between like 17 and 20 already.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
You're just on a different trajectory. Like
you got over on some CDs, bitch, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck
Whatever.
you, yeah. And so, like, and it was like a whole different scene. That's the great thing about LA, man. You don't like one scene, there's another one.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not like that in like the Bay Area.
Is
it's
that right?
small, man. It's like
there's not much.
there's only, once you're in it, that's it.
Don't
like,
burn the bridge.
You
might need that shit.
LA is like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
There's a constant
Jump
flow.
into the reggaeton scene.
Yeah,
Nobody else from the rock world will ever find you there.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So we start playing all over the place, man, and it was cool. We had a manager, and I learned a lot, man, with Macy, and then and I started getting into Latin music more, because I was really more into like funk, reggae, and soul, like.
Yeah.
As a bass
Same
player,
here.
That's like,
it's got that meat in it.
that's like, but I started, but then like Latin music and like salsa started coming on my radar more, and like, oh, this shit is like the tumbao is like, like if whoa, that's a whole nother feeling, like, right? Like, right. It's just like, and so I start getting into it, man. I start really, I start like just kind of like threw everything aside and was like, I'm going to learn salsa music. I'm going to learn how to play this music. And so I got a teacher, Eddie Resto, Puerto Rican, from New Yorican. He used to play with Eddie Palmieri.
Okay.
Became my teacher. He's still my mentor today.
Right on.
And started learning that music. And then I was working for this organization called the Los Angeles Conservation Corps.
I remember that.
Organization that started out of the riots. Oh, part of the reason why I went up is I was part of the 92 rebellion, the riots. So, I was out there
at
looting.
the Rodney King thing.
Yeah, I was out there looting and all that shit. Like,
good shit. Good for you.
I was protesting to start, and then I ended looting. I didn't have a lot to live for, man. Like there was nothing going on for me here. Anyways,
I had no idea on that.
So I left, and
at that time I was living out of the Hyatt Hotel on Sunset.
no shit.
Yeah, because
good.
my manager thought it was best for me. I was getting into a lot of shit. So I saw the city burning from my hotel room at the Sunset Hyatt.
Sunset Hyatt was
It's no longer there anymore.
Where was it? It was up in like West Hollywood.
On Sunset Boulevard.
But in West Hollywood, like past past Fairfax?
It was right across the street from the old House of Blues.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right there.
Because I think looting,
adjacent to the Comedy Store.
because I think looting went all the way to Guitar Center, but it didn't go past.
It didn't
that.
go past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
They
blocked,
shut that
blocked-
bitch down. They
Nope.
shut that bitch
You
down.
can do everywhere else. Go right ahead. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. So I came back. So the Conservation Corps was created, or a lot of money was given to the Conservation Corps after the LA riots, and so I was part of that program. So y'all
used the money
hired.
to go burn shit.
Well, no, but guess who my boss? So So my buddy Anton, who is Ozo's original drummer, says, "Hey man, I'm working for the Conservation Corps. Come down and talk to the boss." And I go over there. Guess who the boss is? Carmelo Alvarez, bro.
Oh shit.
He's the boss
Yeah.
of the Conservation Corps that I was hiring for. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I got this. Oh, Carmelo, what's up, man? It's me,
Yeah, you remember
man."
me from back in the
Yeah,
Radiotron?
Radiotron. He's like, "Yeah, I remember you, but you don't have the job. Like, you think you're cool, right?" He's
Oh,
like,
shit.
"What we're gonna do is," he took the money that he was given from the rebellion
Yeah.
and he flipped it. And he's like, we're gonna create a play that talks about the rebellion, the riots, and we're gonna do a play about that. So that's how we're gonna use this money that we
Always
got.
being creative.
So, and he
Carmelo,
said,
yeah.
"What can you give to the play?" And by that, and I'm like, "I can do the music. I'll write the songs for the play and
Yeah.
do all this shit." And
That's badass.
and he's like, "Okay, you're hired." So basically, Carmelo sent us to the library, and he's like, "Go research," because all the other corps, they were cleaning up debris. They were planting plants. He's like, "Go to the library and research the cause of the riots." And every day he would come back and we would have discussion, like, what's the cause of the riots? And we're like, what do we do? How do we even do in a library? Like, so I go to the library and like, I have to research the cause of the riots. Well, where do you want to start? I'm like, I don't know. How do you do that? And they're like, oh, well, you can, and they would give you ideas. And you're like, okay, that's cool. So what we realized is there isn't one cause of the riots. It goes back to Christopher Columbus, man.
Gotta track this shit down.
You got to track it. You can't stop. There's not one cause, because where are you going to go to the Watts riots? You go back there. Well, then
Yeah.
what comes before
Which
that?
was late 60s, early
Yeah,
70s.
and what comes before that?
Slavery.
Right? You know what I mean? Slavery. What comes before slavery?
Fucking Columbus.
You know what I mean? What comes before that? You know, Native
Yeah.
Americans living
Yeah,
here, having
exactly.
and so what we realized, so we did this play, man. We did this play it was called Resistance 502, 502 Years of Resistance. And we did it at the LA Theater Center, and it got rave reviews. Like, we were fucking all over LA Times and all this shit, but it was very political. And so the Conservation Corps, they don't want that. They want their kids planting trees and shit like that.
Yes.
And so basically the next year they took away our grant, and they gave us they gave us the earthquake grant. So then, yeah. So a little.
So now
more
you're
safe.
singing songs about Mother Earth?
So
or?
we had to change it. So we changed it. And we created like this play about how to be safe in an earthquake. And we went and toured like all the LA city schools.
Is that right?
Yeah. And as a conservation, it was fun. It was great, man. And so we did that. And meanwhile, we were learning, we would bring in like lawyers, like labor lawyers. And we were learning that, Conservation Corps wasn't paying us correctly.
Oh, shit.
You know what I mean? So we started trying to start a union in the Conservation Corps, our crew. And so we made these flyers, and we were downtown. We were like the downtown Conservation Corps, and there was like the East LA, South Central. So we went to the South Central and East LA Conservation Corps. We were like passing out the flyers, join our union. We're going to fight we're going to get back pay. We're going to get medical insurance, which we don't have, because they were keeping us under 32 hours a week so that they didn't have to pay us, give us medical. And they had so we're like, we're going to fight for all this stuff. We're going to fight for back pay. Because we've been putting in more time, all of us, for, your overtime.
Yeah.
So kids started going like, yeah, this sounds cool, man.
Mhm.
What did the Corps do? They basically took all those Corps kids and brought them to one thing. And they said, those kids are trying to fuck you up and for you to lose your job. And you're telling kids from LA, the inner city of LA, that these kids that are on stage, was us. We were on stage, like getting, like, you see them, they're in LA Times. Like, they're fucking, and these kids are in LA Times and they're trying to fuck your job up. They're over here having fun, trying to start this union, and it's just going to get you fired. They're telling, so we had all these kids after us, man. They were like, fuck you, you're telling kids like gangsters,
Yeah.
Affiliation,
Holy
gang affiliated,
shit, dog.
that we're trying to fuck with them, and we're like up on stage thinking we're the shit, all that.
Yeah.
So we ended up locking our doors. We held a sit-in, Lily.
Yeah.
Lily was part of that. Yeah, you know this story. Well, I'm saying the story. Anyways, we end up having a sit-in, and we end up getting rights to the building. And we end up getting rights to the building. And to raise money for this building, I started this band with Anton to raise money for the building. So we called all of our friends in to jam, and that's how we started.
I've heard about
OZOMATLI.
this sit-in.
And this is, I'm sure you have.
I've
It's a pinnacle part in our life.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, in our development as, adults. And
I believe Quetzal was a part of that, yes?
not really.
Okay.
No. I mean, they were in that scene of music, but they weren't really part of that.
This particular.
Because it was all core members. So it was like, people that work for the Conservation Corps were a part of it. But then we started the Peace and Justice Center.
It's not
Carmelo,
Lily.
Yep.
Shout out to Carmelo Alvarez, Lily Floor Art.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Mercedes was there, and we started, and Anton, and we started this community center called the Peace and Justice Center.
I've heard a lot about this as well.
So we took that building from the Conservation Corps.
Yeah.
And we started this cultural community center dedicated to arts and inner city youth. And to raise money for the center, we would have parties. And so we put the OZOMATLI together just for that purpose, to raise money for the Peace and Justice Center. That's how it started.
Get down.
Yeah, like come fucking jam for this.
Yeah.
And so we and we were playing.
Who were the first original members?
First original members was me and Anton. That's how it started. And so Anton called a bunch of people, and I called a bunch of people. So Anton was playing in a band called Yesca. They played ska, Latin ska music.
Okay.
So he called Uli, his sax player. He called his percussionist, Alfredo Ortiz. So it was those three from Yesca. And then I called Cut Chemist.
Yeah.
Who else was up there? Cut Chemist was there.
Of course, your man Charlie Tuna.
Dave Ralicky. He didn't come into the picture till later.
Okay.
So this is day one, right?
Okay.
So this is before. There's a guy named Chris that played trumpet that we knew. Gito, who I was playing, who's a tabla player. I brought him in. We just called a bunch of. So it's like, who's around today is like Anton, he's no longer in the band, but he's original member. But is Gito, me, Uli, and Raul. And Cut Chemist.
Yeah.
Those are like the cats that like are still part of. But really, the only people that are still in OZOMATLI, like officially, is me, Raul,
and Uli.
Gito, and Uli.
Gotcha.
So 4 of us from that original rehearsal the day before.
Y'all had like
gig.
what? 8 guys at first? 8, 9?
Man, we had like 12 people.
12 people.
Because we had all these other people. We had this dude Rollo like banging away on drums.
I know Rollo.
You know Rollo?
Yeah.
And then Robert on guitar.
Of course.
Tovar.
Yeah.
And
had a horn section for a while too.
we had a bunch of horns. We called all these. Oh, and Crunchy. Oh, Crunchy, who's no longer with us.
No longer with us.
Yeah, and Crunchy.
And he went on to do a lot of stuff with Santana's kid.
Yep. Yeah, with Sal Santana.
With Sal Santana,
yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
And so we started this band, man, and we were actually called Somos Marcos at the beginning because we were paying homage to the Zapatista movement at that time.
Sure.
In Chiapas, Mexico. And so we were called Somos Marcos. And then
how did you transition that to OZOMATLI?
So about maybe a few months later, after we were called Somos Marcos, once we left the Peace and Justice Center and started playing, we went from the Peace and Justice Center, people saw us and started asking us to play art galleries, and I realized that we were no longer like a political movement. So we were looking for another name. And so it was really me and Anton. I was like, we got to change the name, man, because I don't want to just be a political band. I want to I want the music to tell the story, and politics can be involved. And he's like, well, let's be called OZOMATLI. And I'm like, that sounds cool, not even knowing what it meant.
Right.
But Anton was like, was the one.
And what does it mean?
Well, it's on the Aztec calendar.
Yeah.
It represents dance. It's a monkey. Represents dance, music, harvest, and chaos.
I remember when I first saw the name,
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Like, why would a band name themselves?
No, no, no. I thought it was difficult. No, I thought it was just difficult to pronounce.
Yeah, it is.
When you're not in that lane,
Right, yeah.
and you hear names like Quetzal
Yeah.
or Qualitli
Yeah,
or whatever it
yeah.
is, you're not used to pronouncing these
Yeah.
letters together.
Yeah.
And even though we're indigenous, right? We don't.
Yeah.
We've gone away from that, or it's been beaten out of us.
Yep.
And many times, right? So,
Yeah.
but when I first saw the name, I was like, I don't know what that mean, man. But I saw you guys up in Griffith Park.
Oh, really?
I went out there, and that shit was
No shit.
was
Mellow
rocking.
Man Ace was at Griffith Park?
Yeah, yeah. We didn't know
What?
each other then. We didn't know each other.
Yeah, I know.
But I was friends with Lily and Robert
Oh, you
at
were
the time.
already.
And Robert,
Oh, okay.
you know, he invited me to come out.
Oh, cool.
You know, so that's how that went down.
Damn.
So now you switched the name to OZOMATLI.
So we switched the
and
name.
shit
We
starts
start.
to really crack.
I mean,
off.
not that. I mean, I was hustling, man. I got there was this thing at what was it? Okay, so we ended up we play these art galleries downtown LA. All of a sudden, I get a call from the Viper Room. Okay, and I'm like, they call me and they're like, we want you to come play on January 2nd. You know, I'm like, okay, fuck it, whatever. So we go play on January 2nd at the Viper Room, and I go to the sound guy. I'm like, can I make a tape from this? And he's like, yeah, sure.
Dope.
So I create a demo. So I create this demo, and at this time, I'm working back at Fairfax High with special ed kids.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm working at Fairfax High.
Yeah.
At this time, I'm a teacher's assistant.
Music teacher?
No, just special ed teacher's assistant. Like, I mean,
Wow.
how I got that job being a high school dropout is a whole nother hustle, you know. But like, just to be, you know, so like, I'm not gonna bore you with that. That's a whole nother.
We'll talk
fucking-
about that on the golf
yeah,
course.
yeah, that's a
one
whole
day.
nother.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm working there, and so there was this thing called CBI, community-based instruction. So and so the teacher allowed me to just create. I would take kids out on the bus, and life, anything I wanted to do in life, like as long as we were running errands, was a lesson. So what did we do? We would go pay my phone bill. You know, I would take care of all that shit. So what did we do? We would go make OZOMATLI flyers.
Oh shit.
We would go make in the classroom. I had 2 tape decks, the double tape decks.
We're running cassettes.
I taught the kids how to dub cassettes.
Tapes.
I taught them how to make the inserts that said OZOMATLI.
Fucking brilliant, dude.
You know what I mean? So and they were into it, man. They were fucking like, yeah, we're gonna go promote. So we would go to all down Melrose. We would go put flyers for OZOMATLI everywhere, fucking all over. We would take the bus to downtown, everywhere, music stores. Boom, we're doing this. Then I got this thing at 7-Eleven. It was like a book of all the festivals in LA, all the festivals. So everything from like the Watts Drum Festival to the Korean Drum Festival to the Japanese Festival to the Armenian Festival. I went through every single one and I sent them
Tape.
a tape, a picture of the band, and a bio.
Damn,
to
dude.
every single one. And then I had a list, and I would call each one. It had a number, and I would call. Did you get the tape? Yeah. Yes. Oh, but you're not right for our. Oh no, you don't know. We play everything. We play Korean drum music. Like I would just make shit up, you know. Like we play Armenian music because we did. We play OZOMATLI.
You're
plays,
a fucking beast, bro.
We
You're a
play
beast.
everything.
Tell me more, dog.
We
Tell me
play
more.
everything, and I would say, no, you don't know, man. We play. We can do it. Like I would say, we can do your festival.
Hold on, man.
Yeah.
If you're an up and coming artist, listen to this shit right now and get ideas, because a lot of you try to start somewhere, but you don't know where to start and you don't know how to start. Listen to shit like this and take notes. You know what I mean? And just go out there like Will and them and just blast your shit up everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, this is pre-cell phone. So you call, and then they call you back and leave a message on the answering machine. That's a tape, blah, blah, blah. And then you have to call them back. And so I just I just got into this habit of like, and I would keep record of they said no, they said yes. But like that next summer, after that January, so we started April 1st, 95. The summer of 96, we were booked, man, because we got all these like LA street festivals, man. And so we were playing. And by that time, I had like a solid band, you know, that we sounded good. We had kind of created a little identity. You know, Charlie Tuna would come when he could. We had one song. We would do one song, like we would do the Cut Chemist Suite, which is basically a rip-off of Unified Revolution. They had Jurassic 5 is made up of Rebels of Rhythm and Unity Committee. There are two groups that did an EP that I played bass on, that did an EP, two rap groups with two DJs that did an EP that came together, became Jurassic 5. So we would do, and on that EP was this thing called Unified Revolution, which is where Cut Chemist Suite. So I would just play that bass line and Charlie Tuna would rap on one song. So that was like, we would just bring him up just to, hey, rap on a song. You know what I mean? Whenever you can. You could come out. He started coming out more. And then we wrote Olele, second, another song for him, you know, like let's do another song with him, you know, and anyways, so that's how he kind of like got in. And then when he wasn't rapping, he just started playing percussion. He learned clave, like dude has a solid clave, man.
Is that right?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he knows clave. He's a,
damn.
Play the clave, Chuck. Like he's, yeah. So he started playing percussion really like on the side.
Yeah.
And like just dancing, we would come up with dance moves, and that's how he kind of like got into the group. And man, I don't know. Yeah, and then all of a sudden we were playing. And then we had a residency at the Opium Den every Tuesday night, and that shit just all of a sudden it's like Selma Hayek, Drew Barrymore, you know, Johnny Depp. Like
motherfuckers wanna
they were coming.
Yeah.
Bill Maher.
Yeah.
I saw Bill Maher get turned away at the
What
door.
the
I didn't even
fuck?
know who he was, but I was like, that dude's famous. I know his face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that dude was at the door, and I remember him being all mad and them saying, "We're sorry, it's completely, I can't. The fire department's gonna come." So, anyways, the fire department started coming, shutting us down. So we moved to Dragonfly. On Thursdays.
Dragonfly, yep, Santa Monica Boulevard.
And then after we moved to Dragonfly, all of a sudden labels started wanting to be a part of it. And the first label that was this thing called Will Records was this guy John Seidel, who's like a big time A&R. To this day, he's like everybody knows him in Hollywood, whatever. But he had this thing called Will Records.
Yeah.
And the office was right behind Fairfax in a house. So right after work, I went over there and I met with the assistant, which was Amy. And Amy, you know what? Actually, I'm going to see Amy right now, and I got to tell her.
Oh, go for it. Guys, you're tuned into the Havana Lounge podcast.
Sorry.
I am your boy, Mellow Man Ace. This is my dog, Wil Dog of OZOMATLI.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. So Amy,
take the camera off here while he's sending his text. Have some decency, man.
I didn't know you were gonna let me talk all day because I could keep going. But
we're good. We're good. Keep on going.
Amy, man. So Amy came in. So his assistant, I go meet with her, and she's like, "This record label's over, but I want to work with you." And that was the assistant for Will Records, and I was like, "Okay." I was like, "Here's a bunch of packages." I just gave her like 50 packages. And I said, "Here, go make something happen. I'm not giving you any of my contacts, but you go." Dude, within like 3 months, she had way more going on for us than I did.
Yeah.
So Amy, she became our manager. And let me tell you, man, that was the hardest thing. When I brought her in to the band, they're like, "Who's this?" You know? And I'm like, "Oh, she's going to be our manager." And like, "No, she's not." Like the band, you know, they didn't even know her yet, you know?
Yeah.
Because I had already been working with her.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, "No, man, you guys don't know," you know, and and getting Amy, man, that fucking changed the whole trajectory.
And
of
she's
this
still
band.
with the group.
No, she's not. No, she was with us for 16 years.
Okay.
But she
does she need work right now?
Yeah, but she's not. I think she's out of the music business. I'll find out.
Okay.
She actually lives in Long Beach now, so I'm gonna go see her.
Oh,
after
right
this.
on.
So
Get down, yeah.
So
I might need somebody like that on my team.
So So yeah, we got her. All of a sudden, we had label interest.
Yeah.
Labels started taking us to dinners, fancy ass dinners. Never been to any fancy dinner in my life.
Sure.
They start, you know, and then one came to the table, man, which was Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss
God damn.
had a label
Herb
called Almo, and they had a band called Garbage on it, and that A&R Andy Oliphant brought us over and was like, hey man, we want to give you a deal, blah blah blah. So Amy and I went and found a lawyer. We went and got this lawyer, Lisa Sokransky, who's like big time lawyer, and they just advised us through a contract, man. Have you ever seen a contract before your first contract?
No,
Like, what the fuck's a
course not.
contract? I'm not thinking about my life in 40 years. You know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about what this means.
I'm doing it for the love.
I'm doing it for the love, and I got an opportunity, so we got to make this work. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
this is a dream come true, or could be. This is your outlet. So we end up signing a deal, which was, I mean, it was a standard deal. I wouldn't say it's a good deal. You know, today
there were no good deals. There were
But-
no good deals.
But the good part about it was we got tour support, man.
And that's really all we needed.
We got
we
tour.
needed-
We got tour support. We got a fucking
Mhm.
bus.
Yeah.
We got on the warp. We got a booking agent. We got on the Warp Tour. We went we didn't stop, man. And
Yeah.
we didn't. And they put us on tour for a whole year, man, and
That's
paid
right.
for it.
Yeah.
And
Herb Alpert.
Herb Alpert and Jerry Moss. You
Amazing.
can't. And so that's
Yeah.
A&M.
Yeah.
Is Albert and Moss.
Absolutely.
And then it became They sold that and became Almo. So they stayed
Okay.
together.
Yeah, that's dope,
and
man.
and so we were on that.
If
label.
you guys don't remember Herb Alpert, he was an amazing musician himself.
He is.
He
Still
still
around.
is.
Yeah.
What horn does he play?
Trumpet.
He played the trumpet. Absolutely.
He plays.
He plays the trumpet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Come on, man. He's not
I remember
past tense.
when I started, I played the trumpet.
No shit.
I
that's
sucked
right.
balls though.
Yeah, trumpet's hard.
Oh man,
Trumpet takes
I was
work,
very
man.
little. I was very young. Teacher told my parents he'll never make it in music.
Right. Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah,
well, look
whatever.
at me now, dude.
That's right.
You know,
Podcast.
I got
It's a
Wil
talk show.
Wil-Dog on me on my show. Shit,
Yeah.
I don't know what you doing, but so let's. I don't want to keep you here all day. Tell me about what it feels like. I asked this to my man Raheem of Grandmaster Flash when I had him on.
You had Raheem from Grandma's Flash?
Absolutely, that's my
Wow.
man. And I asked him, what does it feel like, man, after being in the gutter so long to win a Grammy award?
Well, at that time, man, I was heavily into crack, man. When we won our first Grammy, I was a fucking bass head, dude.
Is that right?
Like hard. Yeah, because here's the thing.
Damn,
I
that's
always
crazy.
knew. I always had this vision of myself. I was either going to be in jail or on the street pushing a shopping cart. That was like, as a child, those were the visions I had for my future, right? Other
Wow.
than being a rock star. So I always knew that I was going to be a musician, but eventually I'm going to end up back on the street, right?
Wow.
So eventually, and probably in jail, if not like offing myself, committing suicide at some point.
Damn, I never looked that deep into it.
Okay, well,
You know?
yeah,
Like, eventually when this shit runs out, you know?
yeah.
Okay, I'm 75 now.
Or no,
you know?
I didn't think I was going to make, where I'm at 49 is like,
Yeah,
seems like
no,
ancient.
It
you
seemed
know?
like it was
Yeah.
100 years ago,
Yeah.
from now.
Yep. So, so winning my first Grammy, it's almost like I had.
Wait, how many do you got?
Oh, we have 3.
Let's go, goddammit.
Okay.
3.
I can't sell it. So they don't actually belong to you because Grammy still owns them. Technically, you're not allowed to sell them.
Okay.
So they're not. Yeah.
We couldn't pawn
We
that for
just
some
borrowed
crack today.
because I thought about that.
Okay.
Anyways,
All right. There will be none
yeah.
of that going on.
Nah, man. When we won our first Grammy, man. So we were
Talk to me.
There's no way we thought we were gonna win. We were talking amongst ourselves. We're gonna go to the Grammys and just have fun, and just
Drink up.
whatever.
Party
yeah.
up.
And I didn't even dress for it. Like, I wore the best outfit I had was like a Adidas jumpsuit at the time,
Yeah.
So that's what I wore. Like, it wasn't even like, I think a couple.
It's like you were going to backyard parties.
Yeah,
and
I think
shit.
Nedick, he was more into it. Our MC at that time, Kinetic, he
Yeah.
wore a full suit, got glasses and all. So we didn't think we were going to win. And we're just sitting there and it's like, because we were up against Juanes, who had hits at that time. We were up against all these bands. And when they said our name, well, it was Emilio Estefan. It was Gloria Estefan's husband.
Yes, absolutely.
Who didn't know, who pronounced it in Spanish because our second album was called Embrace the Chaos.
Yeah.
And so he said, Embrace el Caos. That's what he said. And we were like, none of us, we didn't get up or nothing.
Yeah.
It's Embrace el Caos, OZOMATLI. We're like, what? Oh, shit. So we ran up, you know, and...
or he said it in Spanish?
He said it like that, yeah, but we didn't. We never heard "embrace the chaos."
Yeah.
Like "embrace el caos."
I guess let's go drink. Yeah, let's go party.
Like we were waiting for "embrace the chaos," or we were waiting to just not win. We were just,
the chaos.
We didn't think we were going to win. "Embrace el caos" or something.
Oh God,
you know?
Damn.
Yeah. So he said. So we run up. We get the. Everyone's like fighting for the mic to like give the speech. You know, we're all like 10 of us. Like, whoa, my turn. You know. Like, we didn't know. But I just remember, leaving there, man. Honestly, I left there. I went straight to fucking the bank, straight to MacArthur Park. I bought $500 worth of crack. That was the max.
Party, baby.
And I just went back to my house alone.
Yeah.
You know, and we had these 2-ways.
I remember those.
We had the 2-ways, and that's how we communicated. And everyone's like, where you at, dog? Eddie Palmieri's playing at the fucking Latin party.
Yeah.
You know, where you at? Stevie Wonder's playing at this party. You know what I mean? And I'm over here fucking all by myself, you know?
Yeah.
And my band didn't know. My band had no idea. I hid it.
Right?
I hid it from them.
Yeah.
But at this time I had already bought a house. I had bought, you know, I had done all this shit. I never, like, I was always running away from homelessness, you know? So I was saving my money. I was like saving my money. I would just spend enough I would spend enough on rock. I never went down the deep end by this time.
Right. You were always cautious.
I was cautious. I was really good with money. I had saved like $50,000, which was so much money. I bought a house.
Yeah.
You know, bought a really cheap house in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
And so I was in this house. And I had done everything that I ever wanted to do by then. I had toured the world. Like my life, like I was like, I had gotten into a band that like was successful. I won an award. The awards were whatever. That was never on my, it was more like touring and
icing on the cake.
And really for me, it was, can I make a living playing music? The answer was yes, I did it.
Yeah.
I made a living. I had $40K in the bank. I had bought this little house in Silver Lake, you know, and so I had done everything. So all those demons that were still there, because all that hustle that I was tiring myself out to make it, to make my band successful.
Yeah.
Once we were successful, it's like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I'm not judging. I went through the exact same thing.
So the demons hit me. So I'm finding myself alone in a house that's mine. And if we're not touring, what am I doing? I'm back in LA. No one's inviting me to parties anymore because I'm always gone. They just assume that I'm gone, that you're on tour. So they're not trying to reach out to you. It's your job to say, I'm in town Tuesday. Yes. Can we hang out?
Yes.
Right? And I
you have to tap in.
And I stopped, and that was really hard coming back home and being home alone off of tour.
For sure.
That fast life.
Now, see, I'm glad you said that because now now, I barely understand what happened to me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm 55 now.
Yeah.
And today, with that story,
no shit.
I'm having a moment. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. My pleasure.
I was the first.
Good.
Remember, I'm the first one on my street to do this.
To make it.
Before Cypress Hill.
Right. And everyone's telling you, back to the trumpet teacher, everybody in your whole life is saying, you're never going to make it.
Yeah. The only one that didn't was my mother.
Oh, really?
Our mother always told us, you're going to make it. Just go hard, do your thing, be the best.
Nice.
My father kicked me out of the house.
No shit.
This is not about me. It's about you.
Exactly, man. Why are you taking my fucking
I'm trying
to
take your steam here.
Dirty Willie wants back on the mic.
Dirty Will.
Man. Yeah.
My man.
Yeah, man. So
the demons.
So the demons come back, man, and the habit starts, it goes from $20 a day to $100 a day to $500
It's a per
a day.
diem now. It's a goddamn per diem.
Yeah, to $500 a day, you know, and then I was always like, well, I'm never gonna, what I always told myself is as long as I'm only killing me,
You're good.
and I'm not,
That's what I was saying.
I'm not affecting anybody else, you know?
Time out.
You're
I got a cramp.
no shit.
I locked my leg up.
Oh,
Yeah.
you all right?
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. All right, let's go.
Yeah, you got to stretch before those
Yeah, I
golf
gotta
games,
stretch,
homie.
man. I got to stretch.
Yeah,
before
that's
the
golfing right there. You all right?
No,
yeah,
we're good.
Okay.
It's a little locked up, but
is it? You want some water?
yeah, we get some water.
You got water?
Some water. We'll keep going.
Shit, man, I don't want.
That's crazy. I didn't expect that to happen.
Mellow Man Ace gets rushed to the hospital while talking to Wil Dog. What the fuck? Okay.
No. We're good. Okay. Thank you very much. All right.
Look at me. I offered him water, and this is not like it's my studio.
Yeah. No. You're right.
I'm just. Thank you. Yeah.
I shouldn't laugh at Wil Dog's
Yeah. Dirty Willie joke.
Dirty Willie's.
Yeah, man.
You shouldn't laugh at Dirty
Fuck,
Willie.
man. Yeah, man. So, but then what happened? So I told myself, as long as I'm not affecting my band, because I would never be high on stage. It was always, you know, after the show, so the next day I could clean up, you know.
Yeah.
And they did. I hid it from them good, man. I hid it from them. You know, I'm not affecting anybody. All of a sudden, I miss like an interview on K-Rock, and that's where you know that's where it parted for me, because I was like, now I'm affecting my band. You know, I'm putting my band at jeopardy. You know, that's what I told myself. I'm like, that's not cool. So I think we were opening for Santana at the Hollywood Bowl. It was October 12th, 2002. I remember, because it was my dad's birthday, and he had died a few years earlier. So, and I told myself, you're not going to smoke crack tonight because it's your dad's birthday. In honor of your fucking dad, you're not going to smoke crack.
Yeah.
I left the Hollywood Bowl. I went straight to fucking Pico Union and bought fucking crack. And went home.
After opening up for Santana.
After opening up for Santana. Yep. And so I was a dilemma. Now I'm affecting my band. I'm not showing up to interviews. I'm missing shit. So I called my band in. And I'm like, I have to be honest. I start crying, man. I'm like, I'm a fucking crackhead. I had to just be honest. And they were just like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, yeah, I missed this interview. I missed that. I need to be honest with you guys. I'm really sorry. And then they call my manager. My manager is she's thinking like I have AIDS or something. Like I'm like, you know, because she's like, what's wrong, Will? Tell me on the phone. She's like crying on the phone. I'm like, nothing. I'll just tell you when you get here, you know? She's like, tell me. She thought I was like dying or something. And so she shows up, and I tell her,
Amy.
And then so that after that, Amy goes to action. Amy fucking goes and she calls the Grammys and calls Music Cares. And Music Cares is like, we'll put him in rehab. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to rehab. I'm not that bad. Not that bad. I don't need to go to rehab, you know? And so Music Cares tells Amy, basically, make a deal with him. Say, if he can't stop, give him 3 months to stop smoking crack by himself. Mm-hmm. And if he can't, then he'll go to rehab. So 3 months later, I get arrested.
Doing what?
Purchasing.
High? Oh, down on Alvarado
West
Park?
11th Place, right where I grew up. In Burlington. You know? And, I get arrested. I go to jail. 2 days later, I'm supposed to go to Australia. We're touring with the Black Eyed Peas.
Yeah.
I'm touring with the Black Eyed Peas, and so my lawyer makes a deal with the judge. If you let him go to Australia and do his work, as soon as he comes back, he'll go to rehab. So I did. So I went to Australia, did
Judge
the tour.
Said yes.
Judge said yes.
Lucky
because it was
dog.
my
Well,
first.
you've had a lot of great luck.
Yes, it was my
You've
first.
been at the right place at the right time.
They didn't
for a
have.
lot.
They also didn't have, because I swallowed. Because I'm smart, man.
You ate the evidence.
I ate the evidence. They saw me buy it, but I didn't have it. Like it was gone. It was swallowed. I always had water with me. I was like, I was ready for this shit. I was ready to get pulled over, you know, for crack. Like,
Yeah, I never was.
oh, I'm always.
But I never got pulled over either. I got lucky. I'd run my Mercedes Benz into the ground because I was one of those kind of guys that I wanted to only destroy myself.
Right.
You know.
Yep.
And I didn't bring anybody down with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I dropped a transmission on this 105 one time, 3 o'clock in the morning, high as a bitch.
No shit.
Oh my God, dude. You don't even know. You don't even know the stories. We could have been buds, dude. We could have been buds.
I didn't have no friends in this, man.
Yeah.
I was by myself.
No
man.
doubt. No doubt.
I didn't want to share it with anybody. You
So
know?
how did you climb out of the
So I went to rehab,
judge
man.
let you go?
He let me go. They didn't have any evidence, so I was already claiming innocence, anyways. You know, and the judge, you know, the judge and the lawyer, they both, I guess, knew each other. And they're like, yeah, he probably had it, but he needs to go to rehab. And it was my friend's dad was the lawyer, so he wanted me to go to rehab too. You know, my own lawyer.
Yeah.
So I got off the plane, man, from Australia, went straight to rehab for 2 months.
Look at you.
Yeah, man, and that was
respect.
Thank you, and that was January
Respect.
6th, January 6th, 2003, and I've been sober ever since.
Get down.
Yeah.
Stop
Thank
that
you.
messing around.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thank you.
my homeboy Wil-Dog has been it. You can put me back on cam. I'm good.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good now. I'm breathing. Everything is lovely. Don't judge me.
I just gotta say, man, we have an album coming out this Friday, man.
Is it? Oh yeah,
Come
yeah.
on,
My
man.
bad.
Marching
Plug.
on. I thought we were gonna get there,
you know,
but it's like 2 hours
my
later.
Conguera,
Yeah.
Abby told me that, and I was supposed to bring that up. So let's plug.
Yeah,
let's plug the
we
new
got an album called
just don't wanna
Marching
lock
On.
back up.
OZOMATLI, Marching On, out this
Yes.
Friday. OZOMATLI.com. Right there.
What's the name of the album again?
Marching On.
Marching On.
Yep.
Get down.
It's a great record.
Going
you
on
know.
tour?
Yeah, we got dates, man. We're playing all over the place. So.
Good deal.
Yeah.
I have to come see you, man.
Yeah, you do.
You know?
Yeah.
Keep me in tune. People, my man, Wil-Dog, OZOMATLI. Want to say thank you, brother, for coming. We have a gift bag for you waiting in the wings from our sponsor, AV Chevy. And on that note,
Discount.
oh yeah, all day. Go get you a Corvette, you know, with all the extra money you're saving from not buying crack now.
Yeah, I know, man. It's amazing.
I love it, dog.
Amazing, man.
Guys, hey, look, I'm Mellow Man Ace. That has been Wil-Dog. And in the words of the great Curtis Mayfield, never forget that your dream is your only scheme. So keep on pushing and move on up.
That's right.
Catch us next week. All right, stay tuned with me. And nothing but love. Peace. We out. Take us out. My man.
That was cool, man.
Oh.